The following is a special video presentation from the Las Vegas Review-Journal. You are watching RJ Debates 2020. Here is your host, Victor Jakes.
Hello, I'm Victor Jakes, and welcome to the Las Vegas Review-Journal's Nevada Judicial Debate Series. Today's debate is between the two candidates running in the general election for Clark County Family Court Department X. They are Heidi Almasi and Jim Davis. This is a new seat, so there isn't an incumbent. We'll start by giving each candidate a 1-minute opening statement. Heidi, go ahead.
Thank you. My name is Heidi Almasi. I'm a former City of Las Vegas judge. I'm running for Department X Family Court. I moved to Las Vegas in 1979. I am the child of a single parent. I went to school here. I dropped out of high school. I earned my GED and worked my way through college as a custodian for the Clark County School District. For the past 25 years, I've been serving this community, first as a state police officer, later as a prosecutor and a judge. For the past 2.5 years, I've been working in family court, where I work on hundreds of cases each month. Every type of case you'll see in family court, from divorces, adoptions, custody matters. I've also been a litigant in family court. I know how critically important the position is and how important it is to successfully co-parent with your former partners. I have practiced civil, criminal, and family law. There's not a day that goes by I don't use my experience in all three areas. Thank you.
Thank you, Heidi. Jim, go ahead.
Good evening. I'm Jim Davis. I'm running for Family Court Judge in Department X. I'm a native Nevadan, a combat veteran, and a 30-year resident of Clark County. Most important, I've been a family law attorney for over 15 years. When I returned from combat operations in northern Iraq, I graduated from the William S. Boyd Law School, and then became a law clerk in the family court. After 18 months in that position, I was recruited by Ishi Cunin, one of the best family law attorneys in the state. This is where I honed my skills as a litigator. And after about 5 years at Ishi's office, I opened my own practice. In the last 9 years, I've helped over 1,000 families with their matters. I'm also a pro tem hearing master in child support enforcement court. I have the administrative, practical, and judicial experience vital to being successful as a family court judge. I'd like to thank the Review-Journal for hosting this debate. I look forward to tonight's discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Heidi, we'll start with you. Divorce and custody cases are a big part of family court. Imagine there was a 14-year-old who only wanted to live with her mom, although both parents were safe and stable. How much weight would you give to the teenager's request?
Thank you for the question. I think it's really important when you have a child of a certain age that they might be entitled to some information. When we look at best interest standards, that's by statute. We take into consideration the age, the intellect of the child, and we may ask that child to weigh in. There are several ways to do that. One is to do an outsource evaluation rather than bringing the child into the courtroom. Ultimately, it's the best interest of the child.
Thank you, Heidi. Jim, how about you? How would you approach a case where a teenager only wanted to live with one parent, although both were seeking joint custody?
Well, teenagers are tough because they're a little rebellious sometimes, and they usually like to go live with the fun parent, the one that may not be as restrictive as the other. And so it's a tough situation. I don't necessarily agree with having a child testify, but it is one of the best interest categories when making that determination. Having the child interviewed is always an option at the Family Mediation Center. And so, again, it's a tough situation, particularly with a 14-year-old. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Jim, you'll get this question first. What's one deficiency you see in the family court system, and what would you do to fix it if elected?
Well, one deficiency is how long it takes to get everything done in the family court, and particularly with having orders issued in the court. One way to solve that is to issue orders from the bench and actually give the litigants an order to take with them, even if it's a temporary order. You know, they want closure in their cases, and they want to feel like they've accomplished something when they do come to court. And so I would be prepared to issue orders from the bench on the day of the hearings in family court.
Thank you, Jim. Heidi, how about you? What's one thing you'd want to change if you in the family court system if you are elected?
We have several things that have happened over at Family Court. One is our Family Self-Help Center, which is run by Stephanie McDonald, which has done a wonderful job. We also have our Ask a Lawyer program. One of the issues I see working at Family Court is when we have folks that might have a language issue, or they might have a reading deficiency or technological deficiency. So one of the things I would like to see, because Family Court is litigant driven, which means you're in charge of your case, is to see more access to interpreters. We have a lot of folks in town who speak various languages. And then I'd also like to see technological assistance. That might be a video on how to file stuff, because we have new electronic filing for everybody. And then also to help people that might have a reading or inability to have an email, for example.
Thank you, Heidi. Heidi, is it more important for a judge to enter the courtroom ready to make a decision, which speeds things along, or be open to persuasion during oral arguments, which can cause a delay in issuing a judgment?
I think in family court, one of the things that I personally would bring to the bench is you have to be absolutely 100% prepared with the record, especially if you're a new judge, which is the seat we're running for. You have to familiarize yourself with the entire record. You need to be ready, have your pleadings read. And then when you come into the courtroom, you know, for attorneys practicing, there might be something that's changed or that they need to let the judge know that might be critically important. And oftentimes this will happen in our dependency cases, which is abuse, neglect, or juvenile. So I would be fully prepared, but also willing to listen to oral argument because something might have changed.
Thank you, Heidi. Jim, you talked about the importance of making a decision in family court, but I would like to hear more about your thought process. You know, why is it important to come ready to make a decision, and would you ever be open to persuasion during oral arguments?
Well, you always enter the courtroom with an open mind, and persuasion it will weigh a factor in that decision, but it's also important, especially when there's attorneys involved, that their pleadings are complete. So many times we see pleadings that only tell half the story. And so, but I've also experienced in my 15 years, judges that clearly haven't even read the pleadings. And so it's definitely important that you come prepared to court, you've read everything, not just a summary, and then listen to argument and make your decision based on both the pleadings and the argument presented.
Thank you, Jim. And stick with us. Our judicial debate will continue in just a moment.
The Vegas Nation podcast is your source for all your Las Vegas Raiders news. Subscribe and get fast takes and smart coverage. Download the Vegas Nation app, check out vegasnation.com, and stay up to date with your Las Vegas Raiders.
Alexa, play my flash briefing.
Here's what's new in today's news.
Stay in the loop of the latest information in the Las Vegas Valley with the Las Vegas Review Journal Flash Briefing. Every day, we will provide you with everything you need to know in news, business, weather, entertainment, and sports. Go to the Alexa app and search LVRJ News Briefing. Then say, Alexa, play my flash briefing to hear 3 minutes of the most important information in Las Vegas.
You're watching the Judicial General Election Debate for Family Court Department X. It's part of an ongoing series of debates produced by the Las Vegas Review Journal to inform local voters about these races. Jim, on your campaign Facebook page, you've reposted something from the Clark County Democratic Party specifically and shared things from other Democratic groups. Should voters be concerned that someone running for a nonpartisan office has made their partisan affiliation so obvious in their campaign?
No, it is a nonpartisan race, and I'm not going to ask anybody what their political party is when they come into the courtroom, because it just doesn't matter. A lot of the things I post are informative to everybody in Clark County. And so it's important that the voters are informed of how to vote. The voters are informed of, the ballot process. It just changed it with the special session with the mail-in voting. It'll be similar to the primary election as an option. And so I don't think whether you're Democrat, Republican, Independent really matters when you enter the courtroom.
Thank you very much, Jim. Heidi, you previously worked as a criminal defense lawyer and were previously elected to the Las Vegas Municipal Court. You've worked on an adult drug court and created a program for chronic traffic offenders. Now, these are all good things to be sure, but they don't have much to do with divorces or child custody. Why are you running for family court and not, say, district court?
I have a lot of bench trial experience in Las Vegas Municipal Court. That's the type of trials we do. We also do those in family court. I was very honored to do the specialty courts, including starting the city's first mental health court, which we earned a national award for. Excuse me. The reason that I mention those is you see folks coming into the system, and at that point, they're coming into the system in a critical position. Being in the criminal justice system is serious. Your liberty's at risk. So one of the things that I enjoyed when I was in the private sector and I had my own office was volunteering to help folks who also had dependency issues. I volunteered as a CAP attorney with Legal Aid Center and trying to make the same kind of change and positive experience in the family court when people are coming in and they have younger. I'm a child of divorce myself. I'm a single parent myself. Families are critical. And if you have that one good judge and experience, that might make the difference.
Thank you, Heidi. And another question for you, Heidi. When you were running for re-election as a municipal judge in Las Vegas, your campaign posted a doctored photo of you and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, former wrestler, TV star, that implied he was endorsing your re-election. Your campaign took the photo down after the media asked about it. How can voters trust you to be honest if you spread misleading things on social media?
I appreciate the question, and that is correct. Ultimately, judges are responsible for everything that comes out of their campaign. In 2017, my former campaign manager posted the Facebook meme that you mentioned. When she was unable to provide written proof for the matter, I had it taken down. I issued public apologies on all of my social media platforms, terminated my relationship with her, and self-reported the incident to the Nevada Commission on Judicial Discipline. I think it's not just important how we respond to our mistakes, but what we learn from them. In this case, I intend to take the lessons that I learned from this instance going forward as I continue to serve the community. Examples of changes I've made: I've hired professional campaign management, and I put in place safeguards so that this campaign-related issue will never happen again.
Thank you, Heidi. Jim, you've worked in family law. You've mentioned your experience as a pro tem hearing master, but you've never been elected as a judge. Shouldn't voters prefer someone who's been a judge before over someone who will need to learn on the job?
Well, I do have judicial experience, and that is as a pro tem hearing master in child support enforcement court. So I do have that experience. I'm not a career politician. I think a better question might be, why is someone a former judge? And because we do elect our judges. And in this case, the election process was flawed. Ms. Almasi committed an election fraud when she responded to that post in a positive way. I guess the best way to sum it up is by her current campaign manager, what he said. And he referred to that as deceitful, dishonest, disingenuous. I don't think those are the qualities we are looking for in a family court judge.
Thank you. I'm gonna give you, Heidi, a chance to respond to that in this question, but Jim, I'm gonna go to you first. Obviously, you think you're the best candidate, and you mentioned some concerns you have with Heidi. Do you think your opponent lacks the qualifications or temperament necessary to serve effectively as a family court judge?
I think my opponent lacks the experience in family law. Family court is a specialty court for a reason. You know, I was a law clerk too, which is what Ms. Almasi does now. And yes, she's reviewed a lot of files. And I thought when I was done with my clerkship that I knew everything there was to know about family law. Wow, was I surprised when I went into private practice. I've done, 50 or more trials. I've done a number of thousands of motions and responded to motions. And you can't gain that experience from being a law clerk. So it's the experience in family court as a litigator that's important.
Thank you, Jim. Heidi, I want to give you 30 seconds to respond to that before I ask you the question.
I think experience is important. I've been licensed since 2001, Mr. Davis since 2005. I practiced in family court for the last 2.5 years. That's almost 5,000 hours dedicated exclusively to family law. I was elected to Las Vegas Municipal Court. I presided over hundreds of bench trials. Conversely, Mr. Davis, as of December 2019, has sat for 120 sessions as a pro tem. There is a difference in experience, and I do believe I'm the more experienced candidate.
Thank you, Heidi. And so, Heidi, do you think that lack of experience that you contend, do you think it makes Jim unable to serve effectively if he would be elected?
You know, I don't know Mr. Davis's practice. I've not seen him in the nearly 3 years I've been in family court. I've heard good things about him. Obviously, that's the most that I've heard. So.
All right. Thank you, Heidi. And thank you for watching. Stick with us. We'll be back for another segment in just a moment.
With so much excitement building around the Raiders and their inaugural season in Las Vegas, the fans want to be heard. The launch of Vegas Nation Fan Zone is their answer. That's right, Raiders fans can sound off on all things Raiders, from players to coaches to even the new Allegiant Stadium. Vegas Nation Fan Zone is accessible 24/7 and allows fans to generate and upload their own posts for lively interaction. Simply go to fanzone.vegasnation.com to sign up today.
Welcome back, and thank you for joining us. You are watching the judicial debate for Department X. Heidi, we'll start this question for you. As you both know, there are many areas in family law. The most prominent are divorces, child custody, foster care, domestic violence. And now I know a judge doesn't get to pick their specialty area necessarily, but what kind of cases would you like to hear if you had the choice?
I'd be open to any type of case in family court. I've spent the most time in the traditional domestic calendars, but I do have experience in the TPR. All of that was pro bono work when I had my own law firm. You were correct. A judge doesn't get to pick. They're usually seniority based, but I would be grateful to serve in any capacity.
Thank you, Heidi. Jim, same question for you.
Likewise, I have experience in everything in family court except for the delinquency court. And so I've spent a lot of time in dependency court, but I've done all kinds of cases, adoptions, guardianships, surrogacy agreements, all types of family creation, of course, custody matters. And so, wherever the presiding judge and the chief judge want me to serve, I'll be glad to do it.
Thank you, Jim. Jim, if you are elected, what do you want your legacy to be as a judge?
I want to be known as a fair judge, a judge that was prepared for his hearings and was empathetic to the litigants, but also a judge that followed the law. And I think that would be it.
Thank you, Jim. Heidi, same question for you. If you are elected to family court, how would you like to be remembered?
I think my work ethic would be the number one thing I'd like to be remembered for, as well as listening carefully and, with compassion. Having been in family court, that was one of the things I felt was missing. We're also extraordinarily overloaded in family court right now. We have 20 judges. We're going to have 26. The National Juvenile Justice Center just did a study. Our closest jurisdiction has 50 judges. So the workload is tremendous. I would like to bring that, as well as 6 years of docket management, to the bench. Thank you.
Thank you, Heidi. I've only got 30 seconds for this answer, but Heidi, who's one judge that you look up to or would like to emulate, and what's one specific characteristic of theirs that you would like to emulate?
So many, but Judges Tagliati and Judge Marquis are two of my favorites. They're very similar to me, particularly Judge Marquis. She came to the family court bench. She had a criminal background similar to mine. She brought her work ethic, her smarts, all of her kindness, and a really wicked wickedly good administrative sense. So I would like to model that. She's a tremendous judge.
Thank you, Heidi. Jim, how about you? Who's one judge that you look up to and would like to emulate?
Well, again, there are quite a few judges that I deeply respect, but I believe Judge Duckworth, he's the presiding judge in the family court right now. The way he manages his calendar, the way he takes control of his courtroom, he listens to all the arguments and enters very clear and precise orders. So everybody knows when they leave the courtroom exactly what position they're in.
Thank you, Jim. And we'll be back with our final segment in just a moment.
All your listeners and followers, the best name of any podcast in the world is Podcast.
Nobody's ever done it. Nobody's ever faked
Not that we
their
know
death.
of.
No.
When you work with Prince, you got to get used to the fact that he changes musicians like underwear.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like
Tom Brady.
Who?
And Tom Brady, he's a quarterback in the Boston area.
I'm not sure who you're talking about.
Get ready for every Raiders game with us. Vegas Nation Game Day will give you everything you need to know about each week's matchup.
I'm excited.
Sundays at 9 a.m. starting in September on YourView. Vegas Nation Game Day coming this September.
Welcome back to our judicial debate for Family Court Department X. Jim, you're up for closing statements. 1 minute.
Thank you, Victor, for moderating tonight, and a special thanks to the Review Journal for hosting the debate. The family court is a specialty court for a reason. It is vital that family court judges have extensive family law experience. I'm the only one with that experience in this race. Better yet, ask yourself one question. The next time you get on an airplane, are you going to feel comfortable when you learn that the pilot has reviewed a bunch of flight plans but has never actually flown the airplane? Well, I have the experience needed for this job. As I said, family court is a specialty court for a reason. It's not the place for on-the-job training. The decisions made on day one will affect families for a lifetime, if not for a generation. I will be ready on day one. Experience matters because your family matters. I'm Jim Davis. I'm asking for your support and your vote for Family Court Judge in Department X. Have a good evening, and please stay safe and healthy.
Thank you very much, Jim. Heidi, 1 minute.
I'd like to thank the RJ for putting together the Judging the Judges survey and these debates. You guys have always been very dedicated to judicial officers, and I sure appreciate the opportunity to come on and answer the questions, even the hard questions. I have over 20 years of experience as a licensed attorney in this state. I've argued in every court in this jurisdiction, with the exception of the United States Supreme Court. So I feel like I'm very experienced. I've owned my own law firm. I volunteered my time to learn domestic relations law and TPR, helping women who had sexual trafficking issues. That was where I first started in family law. I certainly appreciate that opportunity, and those ladies taught me a lot about humility and starting over and being able to tackle difficult situations. I feel like I've done that. I really appreciate this opportunity. If you want more information on me, please go to Heidi Almasi, 4judge.com, or Heidi Almasi on Facebook. I am happy to answer any questions. I love this community. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Heidi. And thank you both for joining us. And thank you for watching this edition of Nevada Judicial Debates. Remember, you can find this program and more information on all the judicial races at reviewjournal.com. We'll see you next time.